Dara discovers that her protector sage is actually her mate, but their trust is fraught with contradictions and uncertainty. Let's officially listen to today's werewolf story. If you enjoy this story, don't forget to give it a like and subscribe to our channel. Thank you for your support. 22 word count, 2064's error. The night sky is a canvas of stars, clear and beautiful. The full moon bathes the snow-covered lawn in its ethereal glow, creating a serene landscape that captivates my attention. I find myself leaning against the cold windowsill, my cheek pressed against the glass, content to gaze at this tranquil scene for eternity. Suddenly, a movement at the forest's edge catches my eye. I straighten, squinting through the darkness, my cautious nature immediately on alert. Though I can't make out any details, a part of me instinctively knows it's my mate. Determination takes over as I scramble to my feet, throwing a coat over my shoulders and shoving my feet into boots. My fingers, numb from the cold, fumble with the laces as I hurriedly tie them. My mind races, considering how to get past Sage, who I know is guarding my door. The trellis beneath my window seems the only option, despite being high off the ground, covered in ice, and intertwined with sharp brambles. It's a risky choice, but my curiosity and bravery push me forward. Gritting my teeth, I carefully unlift the window and slide it up, wincing as a blast of icy winter air hits my face. I can't help but wonder why my ancestors to conquer a territory so deep in the mountains, perpetually besieged by snow. With a final glance at my door, I take a deep breath and slip out the window. The frigid air envelops me as I slowly make my way down the trellis, not stopping until my feet sink into the soft snow below. Brushing ice off my gloves, I hurry towards the forest's edge, my heart pounding with anticipation. As expected, my mysterious mate is there, leaning casually against a tree trunk. Whatever happened last time will not be happening again. Got it? I say firmly, determined to set boundaries and have a real conversation this time. He nods, maintaining his relaxed posture against the tree. You better be willing to talk this time, I add, wary of another silent encounter. To my surprise, he reaches into his pocket. For a moment, fear grips me, but it dissipates when he pulls out a leather-bound notebook and a pen. An oak-patterned pen, I remark, relieved yet slightly disappointed by this non-verbal form of communication. He flips open the notebook, scribbling something before holding it out for me to read. I don't want to put you in danger by revealing who I am. His words send a chill through me, and not just from the bitter night is seeping under my coat. Is he implying that I might know him, put you in danger on me? Seeking the clarification I've craved since his first nocturnal visit. The identity of his associates worries me more than his own. Has he been unwittingly pulled into the rebels' grasp, or does he willingly participate in their cause? He quickly writes his response, his pen moving swiftly across the page. I care about you. That's not an answer, but he wasn't going to give me one anyway. You tried to kill me. None of this was about hurting you. My intentions that night were not to take your life. He draws the notepad back once I've read from it. His shoulders are tense, and I can tell he's reading my expression, willing me to believe him. I'm doubtful. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nilben, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. He did pin me against the bed that night as if he were waiting for something. But whatever was about to be my fate may have been more unpleasant than being murdered by him. Why should I believe you? I demand. Because we are mates. I sigh through my nose. That's not enough for me. Mate bonds have been shredded apart by far less, and although every fibre in my body is begging me to trust him, to bring him into my life, I know I can't. I can't be with you, Not like this, I tell him firmly. The wind picks up as he continues to write. It sounds eerie, whipping through the trees, causing the boughs to creak, the fat clumps of snow to fall around us. I understand. You need to back off. No more breaking into my home. I can't tell if I want this threat neutralized more than I want to see him again. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nilban, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. That this bond forged by nature is not easy to forego. A lot of that is out of my control. I stare at the words, at his precise handwriting. He doesn't rank highly, I presume. There must be a leader controlling this group, who isn't my mate. I figured as much, but it's chilling knowing how little my one ally can do. Then try, please. You have no idea the stress I'm facing. I insist, resting my palms against my chest, feeling my heart beating fiercely beneath. He clears his throat. It's a deep, masculine sound that I wish would reveal more than it does. My sincere apologies. His fingers tremble a little as he pulls the notepad back. He wants me. I can feel him fighting his urges with all his strength. If you take off your hood right now, we could run away together. Escape all this and start fresh. I blurt out, stepping at him. I'm a fool. I'm making a terrible mistake offering myself up like this. But everything has built up inside me, and I don't think I have the strength to contain it any longer. He takes his time writing his response, considering it. I wish I could do that. Why can't you? I have ties elsewhere. Other obligations. Other obligations. What does that mean? It feels like another riddle, or a puzzle spliced together incorrectly, forcing me to rearrange all the pieces to make it coherent. But I'm your mate. I grimace at my own tone, at the desperation that seeps off it. He remains deadly calm, his stance not shifting as he quietly examines me. I can practically hear him sifting through his thoughts, weighing up his response. He scribbles purposefully, holding the notepad out to me. I'm sorry. A lump gathers in my throat, difficult to swallow past. I feel hopelessly lost and confused, fearful of what awaits me in my future. So what now? Give me time. He pulls the book back, pausing, before adding something beneath the above phrase. I can't stay away from you. My heart stutters. I don't know how to convey the same thought without making it more difficult to walk away, or to make us more likely to replay what happened against the tree weeks earlier. It's hard for me to get away. I have a suffocating personal guard, I say thickly. Glancing back through the trees, I examine the moonlit path to ensure Sage isn't lurking nearby. He shouldn't know about my daring escape, but if he did learn of it, I have no doubt he would follow my footsteps out here. My mate shows me his notepad again. Kill him. Why would I do that? A bird taste gathers in my mouth. Is the true character of the man in front of me about to be revealed? Your personal guard will soon be of no value to you. It will be me that protects you. There is so much to understand about that, but he doesn't give me much time, putting the paper back. Are they planning on killing Sage? They were almost successful once. You can't even stop your group from pursuing me. I don't even know what they want. I remind him coldly. I can still protect you, and I am. The rebels' attacks have lessened, am I to thank him? Has he been working to reduce this? I shake the thought from my head, concentrating on what he's asking me to do. I'm not going to kill Sage. He is no friend of mine, but I'm not a killer. Sage would easily see an attack coming, would adeptly disarm me and ask me questions that I would not be able to answer. My mate seems apprehensive as he shows me what he has written. I am a killer. I know. That doesn't surprise me. I mutter. I've tried to banish that reality from my mind. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nilban, Heartfelt thanks for your unfading patience, enthusiasm. Since I've been doing that since Sage became my personal god. Sage is a killer too. How much do you know about him? I question. It's not a leap for him to assume Sage is a killer, and he's a well-known mercenary. What if my mate has crossed paths with Sage? I've said too much. I'd advance on my mate, and for once, he concedes a few steps, not interested in proximity this evening. He knows I'm asking too much, that he's revealed more than he should have. Maybe you should try to kill him. Then, I venture, testing his response. His pen hovers over the page, before he slowly writes out what he wants me to see. The Sage you know will die soon. What does that mean? Go home, Zara. His use of capital letters is brash enough to stun me. Tucking his notepad and pen back into his pocket, he turns and departs back into the depths of the forest. I could chase him, demand more answers, but I'm scared of what that will result in. So, taking my defeat, I stalk back toward the manor. This may be the last time I ever see my mate again, and it ended so unsavory. Reaching the chalet, I grumble a profanity under my breath before scaling it up toward my bedroom window. That exchange has killed all my hope. Not that I had much to begin with, but... My foot suddenly slips, the frail wood of the trellis snapping, sending me hurtling back toward the ground. I land straight on my back. All the air rushes from my lungs in an instant, leaving me gasping, curling up into a ball as I clutch my abdomen. Eventually, I breathe in enough air for my panic to subside. I roll on my back, staring up at the glittering night sky, feeling ridiculed by the peaceful beauty of it. I was asking for that fall I made the climb with thoughts played by my mate. I wasn't concentrating. All at once, a stinging sensation forces me to look toward my left forearm. It's buried half deep in the snow, and when I draw it up, my stomach tightens at the sight of my torn coat, red water seeping from it. I cut myself. Great. Gritting my teeth, I roll my sleeve back enough to get a good look. It's a nasty gash, which thankfully doesn't appear too deep. It doesn't hurt as my shame does. I mutter to myself, struggling onto my feet. Looking up, I stare up at my window. There's no way I'm scaling an icy wall with nothing but a few sad vines and what is left of the trellis. And unless I want to spend all night bleeding out and freezing, I need to make my way back up to my room. And there's only one way back up. Sighing, I amble my way through the back door, anticipating the reaction is going to have, especially when he eventually forces me to admit my reasoning for leaving my room in the middle of the night. Drops of red water follow me upstairs, streaks of it flowing down my arm and to my fingertips. Sure enough, Sage is leaning against the wall opposite to my closed bedroom door, reading a book under the dim light. At the sound of my tentative footsteps, he looks up, his expression immediately shifting. What the are you doing out here? I knew it. I'm done for. 23-word count, 70 notes per hour. I shift from foot to foot as I allow Sage and all his wrath to examine my weeping arm wound. Don't be mad. I give him a weak smile, swinging my arm around as if to prove that it really isn't as bad as it probably looked. You're injured, he says slowly. His lack of explosive anger is unsettling. That quiet rage that echoes in his eyes will haunt me, and will be the subject of my attention when facing whatever punishment he subjects me to. I tried to scale the wall back into my room and fell, I admit meekly, motioning down to the sorry state of my wet clothing. My pride is wounded the most, and the breath that was knocked from my lungs will be missed, considering how painful it was trying to get some more back. Sage doesn't say a word, winding his fingers tightly around my uninjured arm before yanking me to follow him. Whoa, where are we going? To the infirmary. I practically dig the tips of my boots into the wooden floor. A hideous scraping sound followed by me nearly tripping over follows no. My father will find out. I yelp. It's a fate worse than death. To be subjected to my father's ire. I cannot listen to another lecture on how I'm letting down thousands by not being a good princess, or how my dead mother is probably rolling in her grave. Good. Maybe then he can punish you so I don't have to, he mutters, yanking on my arm. I fight against him. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nilben. Heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. Please. I'll tell you why I snuck out if you just get me some medical supplies so I can tend to myself. He regards me quietly, thoughtfully. Eventually he sighs. But I need the truth. He lets me go, gesturing for me to head up the stairs first. I make it to my room first, him following a couple minutes later with medical supplies in his hand. Quietly, he ushers me into the bathroom, waiting until I sit on the edge of the bathtub before he starts examining the wound. I reach out for the supplies, willing to treat myself, but he pulls back. I'll do it, he offers calmly. You don't have to quiet. I press my lips together. I just look at him as he grabs my arm with tentative fingers, stretching it out gently. A hiss of pain escapes through my teeth. Sage glances up, eyes tracing over my face to ensure I'm okay. I nod mutely, not wanting him to stop. He draws in a breath, quietly resuming. He works quickly, adeptly. His glove touches featherlight as he cleans the wound. You look really mad at me, I murmur, examining his expression. He shakes his head slowly. You have no idea. At least the wound isn't severe. He seems to take too much satisfaction from disinfecting it though, not hesitating in applying the liquid despite my yelp of pain. My mate wouldn't hurt me, I grit out. He wouldn't know that, but by now I would hope he would trust me with this. That's a foolish dream. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nobel. Heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. Something flickers in his eyes. You're wrong about that. How would you know? How his grip tightens on my arm, drawing a sharp breath from my lips. The way he looks at me, like he does right now, makes me feel like he knows more than he tells me. I wish he wasn't so good at being secretive, and I wish more so that I didn't care about it. He lowers that dark, burning gaze back to my wound. Anything could have happened to you. Why do you insist on making my job impossible? I needed to see him. If I see him in your room, anywhere near your bed, I'm going to murder him. A chill crawls over my skin. Why do I get the feeling he's being literal about that? I let my frustration fuel my anger. You really think he's going to sneak in to have sex with me? The only reason he has had to be in my room has been to almost kill me. He's your mate. It's all he will be thinking about. He tells me. I roll my eyes. Whatever. He rifles through the medical supplies, pulling out a bandage. I watch as he cuts it accurately, stretching it out before he begins to dress the wound. Are you going to punish me? I ask softly. His eyes flicker up to mine, his brow raised. How do you suggest I punish you? I shift uncomfortably on the counter. The idea that comes to mind isn't one I would be willing to voice to Sage, but it flushes my cheeks with embarrassment nonetheless. You could always let me off with a small warning, I exclaim sweetly, giving him a tentative smile. I was thinking of something a little more. He draws off, his gaze darkening, painful. I narrow my eyes. You're going to make me run laps, aren't you? He always inflicts that punishment on me when he senses my attention slipping during training. He knows it's my least favorite activity. It's going to be hard on you. That's all I know, he says ominously. Some devilish, sinful part of me wants to know what he means by that. My mind has decided that despite the pain of the wound, it is enjoying being as creative as possible with the images that flash through my mind. Why do I kind of like the sound of that? I whisper, He looks up through his dark lashes. Zara, he warns quietly. I'm joking. Not really. It's easy to insinuate sex with him because he has an unwavering willpower. If he did decide to take me to bed right now, even though I know it's wrong, I don't think I would protest. He mutters. All done? I ask lightly, noting my finished bandage. He dips his head, stepping back so I can slide off the counter. He towers over me, not stepping away. Get some sleep. But we aren't done talking about this, he murmurs. I can still feel his silent anger. I endangered myself tonight, putting his job at risk, but there is more than that between us now. And he knows it. The next week passes swiftly by with little drama. I've spent most of it wallowing, thinking about my mate. This morning, I strolled around the grounds, enjoying the sun despite the cold chill to the air. Sage has backed off, seeming to accept that my mid-morning strolls aren't dangerous and that I need time to myself. I still haven't decided what I'm going to do about my mate, although I am leaning toward leaving him behind to move on with Thorn. Because what other choice do I have? A figure lurking on the edge of the formal garden causes me to pause. It's a woman. She watches me with wide eyes, and for a moment, I figure she is a gardener, or someone else who works here. But it becomes clear very quickly that she isn't. Who are you? I asked tentatively. My name doesn't matter. I need help, she exclaims, striding toward me. I scramble back a few steps over the gravel. With everything going on, with my death currently like luxury gold to certain people, I know I shouldn't cozy up with strangers. What kind of help do you think you'll find on these private grounds? I question, gesturing around. Father's general security patrols this area. There is a chance she will be found and apprehended just for being here. The woman swallows tightly, smoothing her thin brown hair from her face. Your father knows what happened to my daughter. How do you know? She came here to work as a maid and has been missing ever since. She tells me, desperation leaching over her every word. My stomach sinks. By the bitter sadness in her eyes, she is mourning her daughter. And by the burning anger accompanying it, she blames my father. What's her name? Maybe I've crossed paths with her. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nilban, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. I'm sorry, I don't know who that is. I tell her earnestly. I wish I did, because it's clear this is a broken woman who is desperate to find her daughter. A dark shadow of pain and I passes over her face, right as she charges at me. She pushes at my chest, nearly sending me toppling into the hedge. Your father knows. There are talks about what he does to young girls who come into that cursed manor you live in. A breath catches in my throat, a sense of panic and confusion overcoming me. I rest my hand over my chest, feeling as though her hands left a scorching hot brand on me. It doesn't seem right to fight back against this woman, to defend myself with the dagger tucked into my belt. She is clearly out of her mind. You're wrong. My father won't know anything, I exclaim firmly. All you royals are damned. You will all suffer for what you have done, she growls, pointing her finger in my face aggressively. I flinch back. We have done nothing. Those people who tried to kill you all are doing the right thing. Your citizens are on their side. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nilban, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. Her breath clouding in front of her face. How could you say that? I ask breathlessly. You'll see, princess. You'll get what is coming for you. She backs away, leaving me stunned and speechless. I know my father. He would never allow anything terrible to occur within his walls, even to his staff. I've never seen him so much as raise his voice at one. The woman tucks her threadbare shawl around her shoulder tighter, glancing over at an approaching guard before darting back off toward the forest. Something dark and terrible settles in my stomach. What if she's right? 24-word count, 1796 error. Something feels different about tonight. I feel like causing trouble. As usual, Sage is on guard tonight outside my door. It's as if I can feel his physical presence, and no matter how much I toss and turn, I can't get him out of my head. I shove a pillow over my face, groaning. This has to be because of Sage's tortuous rule that I can't touch myself. It's not like I think we will have sex, I just want to talk. To have him entertain me for an hour or so. Biting my lower lip, I look around my room for a way to innocently get his attention. It needs to be enough that he will come into my room without asking my permission. Gently, I press my bare feet to the floor and stand, making my way to my dresser. You're going to regret this, Sarah, I murmur to myself as I sift through my drawer for my prettiest night dress. Quietly, I change into a blush pink one. I doubt the color will impress him much, but its faintly sheer nature might. And then, after drawing in a breath of confidence, I knock my lamp onto the ground. It makes a horrific enough bang that I wince, quickly leaning down to grab it. What's going on in there? Sage calls through the door. Nothing. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nilban. Heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. It's ambiguous enough that I know you won't let it pass by unchecked. The door opens and Sage strolls confidently in. When I'm changing or don't want him to look at me, I usually screech a warning at him for the door not to come in. So I can imagine his shock as he pauses just as the door clicks shut, seeing me stooped on the ground to collect the broken lamp wearing almost nothing. Wo's error. His voice is unfamiliar. Heavier. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nilban. Heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. I broke this. I look over my shoulder at him. He swallows tightly, turning to stalk back out the room. Wait now. My tone sounds strangled enough, desperate enough that he pauses, hand hovering over the door handle. I force back my grimace, not ready to release him from this uncomfortable moment just yet. Is there something else you need? Can you help me? I've made a mess. I gesture down to my lamp, the fabric shade having broken off, left mangled and unsalvageable. Even the bulb itself has shattered, leaving shards of broken glass all over my floor. Sage swallows, as if he forgot that he would usually be straight to assisting me without me needing to request it. Yes. He's by my side in an instant, brushing my hands away from the mess, tending to it himself. I stare at the side of his face, the beautiful lines highlighted by the moonlight streaming through my window. His jaw is clenched so tightly it looks like it hurts. Everything okay? I ask softly, watching him adeptly collect the glass, sweeping it into the trash. He doesn't look at me. You're not dressed. His gaze doesn't so much as drift in my direction as he works. It's like my body offends him, but, in reality, it's because he doesn't believe he has the restraint. I was almost asleep, I tell him, smoothing my hands down over the fine, sheer material. Sage gets to his feet, having managed to clean up my lamp in expert time. I'll leave you to it, he mumbles, turning to the door. Wait, I still want to talk. I don't want him to leave. Not yet. I'm so bored, so tired of thinking about my mate, about Thorn. Sage is this dark, forbidden presence in my life that intrigues me. I want him near me, even when I know I shouldn't. He doesn't turn to leave. He could, but he remains rooted in his place, watching me. I don't know anything, I say casually, sitting on the edge of the bed. Sage's gaze darkens, pushing the door shut slowly. I'm assuming you want to start by talking about how wound up you are because you haven't gotten off in a while. I narrow my eyes. How do you know? Of course, it's obvious. He knows I want him, and I know he wants me. He just has to admit it. My father won't find out, so his job won't be at risk. There is a deeper reason for him holding back. He tilts his head to the side. I'm just observant. Would you prefer I find someone else to sate me? I ask him lowly, taunting him. Something shifts in him. No longer is he uncomfortable by my lack of dress, stalking toward me in such a way that makes me painfully aware of his staggering height and sudden confidence. Have you forgotten your training already, Zara? Even though his words suggest otherwise, it feels as though he is seducing me. I'm choosing to disregard it. I thought you hated me. His voice drops lower, softer. It's more of a question than a statement. I sit up a little straighter, deciding honesty is all I can offer right now. I hate that you hate me, that you don't want me. I'm very aware that I sound like the spoiled brat Sage hates. He told me once, flippantly while training, that, as a princess, my ability to get anything I wanted shouldn't include men. I was in a good mood that day, so I didn't argue back much. Now I think he refuses to even kiss me not because of professionalism, but because he doesn't want me to get my way. Sage inclines his head. Who's to say I don't want you? Well, do you? I ask breathlessly. He considers me, like he's contemplating a long night of sex on the very bed I sit on. If that is what he is thinking about, I want in on that fantasy. You think you want me, but I don't think you could handle what I would do to you. His stare is relentless. I shift my hair off my shoulders, feeling his words glide across my skin. I'm not sure I would be the kind, gentle lover your sweet thorn would be, he warns quietly. A powerful thrill overcomes me. Suddenly, my want for him is so overwhelming. He stands there, dressed in his usual black ensemble, but under the low light, he looks more sinister than I remember. I shouldn't want him like this, or at all, but it's as if my body is calling to him. What would you do to me right now? If you could. My voice doesn't sound like my own. Why don't I show you? He gestures for me to stand in front of him. Scrambling up to my feet, I oblige him. I'm ready for whatever he wants to give me. No questions asked. Please, I whisper. The corners of his lips tilt up wickedly. On your knees now. I sink to my knees. Obeying him like I would do. Was this just another training session? He stands over me, like he owns me, like he is free to do whatever he pleases with me. Spread your legs apart, he murmurs, nudging at my leg with his foot, nodding as I do so. Just like that. Now what? I look up at him through my lashes. His eyes convey dark, sensuous promises. Bow your head for me. I dip my head down, closing my eyes as anticipation buzzes through me. What does he have planned for me? I can't wait to find out. Sage couches down. Now sit there and think about how you can stick up for yourself against your father if your training is successful. I look up, stand, to my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Noble. Heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. He holds his hand out before I can get up. Move and you can't even begin to imagine the pain you'll be in after tomorrow's training session. Gritting my teeth, I get up regardless, ready and willing to kick him straight in the face, but he straightens too quickly. I know you desire me. I know you want me. He can play as many games as he likes. I know he wants me. His eyes flash. You know nothing. You're trying to do your job, to help me be a better person, but you're just torturing me. I exclaim wildly, throwing my hands up. I can't tell if I hate him or I want him. He looks as though he's teetering on the edge of insanity. Perhaps a little resistance in your otherwise easy life would be invaluable. Stepping back and away from me, as if getting any closer would crumple his resolve. My life is not easy. He angles his head, days drifting over my face. For now, these few weeks have been tough. I'll grant you that. He frowns a little, thinking back to the break-ins, to my life being put in danger multiple times. My stomach twists. These few weeks have been difficult because of him, and my mate, and Thorn. These break-ins, I hardly worry about it anymore. It's out of my hands. I can't believe you're tormenting me with all your long stares and sexual insinuations just for my own character development. That's sick. I snap. He steps forward, forcing me back a few steps until the backs of my knees hit the bed. What do you want from me? And you want to disobey my commands for my pleasure. He growls lowly, leaning so close I can feel his breath brush against my face. My pleasure too, I remind him, breath ILY. Your desires are founded on a deep hatred for me. You want me in my most vulnerable state to prove something to yourself. His gaze flickers down to my lips. Or maybe it's because everything you do turns me on, and angers me at the same time. It feels good being dishonest, liberating, even if it's going to have untold consequences soon enough. Mark my words, if you continue to push me, you will draw yourself into a world you know nothing about, Sage says darkly. I want whatever he's insinuating. I can handle it, I assure him. He looks over me, shaking his head, and that proves how unready for me you truly are. With one last look, he turns, leaving me breathless and confused as he slips from my room. 25. Morning. I've been asked by a company I work for to change the name of this story to adapt better to that. I've only ever done this once or twice and I would prefer not to, but that's okay. I've done my best to make a fitting cover and title anyways. I'll be officially changing the title and cover by chapter 27 to reduce as much confusion as possible. I apologize about this. Thank you for understanding. Word count 2140 error. I stare down at my notes, unable to concentrate. Father never wanted me to study beyond what he thought was appropriate, but I enjoy it. Learning allows me to imagine a world beyond all this. Faint whispers have me glancing over my shoulder. 3 girls stand amongst the shelves of the small library, giggling between themselves. Maids, by the looks of their uniforms, and they don't know I am here. There's a lot around here you're going to have to learn. One of them with vibrant blonde curls whispers, cheeks flushed bright pink as she leans her head close to her brunette friend. Like what? Like which guys to go for? She says it like it's obvious, like it's written by the angels. I shouldn't even be listening. What business do I have listening to girls get excited over their crushes? I kind of like the princess's personal guard. The brunette one admits sheepishly. The blonde one startles. No, you can't touch Sage. Why not? The other complains. He's Ara's favorite. She will be upset if she finds out you've been crushing on him also. The blonde exclaims, motioning to the dark-haired girl next to her, who nods. I straighten, leaning over slightly to listen in. Sage is attractive. I'm not blind. I'm very aware of that. So of course some staff want him, and may go as far as asking to be with him. Has he ever entertained their advances? He takes his job seriously, but perhaps in his free time he has taken one or two to bed. My stomach twists into a painful knot. I shouldn't, but sometimes I like his attention. I'm so cut off from everyone else. I forget he doesn't belong to me, that he is by my side for work. Nothing else. I'm probably not even who he would choose to be with, if I were even an option. Each time I've tried to seduce him, he's turned me down. Maybe it's not due to his job, but because I'm a pretentious, spoilt princess who he can't stand. The darker-haired friend. Era pouts. I can't hit. He's a killer. She's into that. The blonde giggles, nudging the brunette. Only because it's him. He's so hot. That's a terrible reason to like someone. Era, I mean. He seems so mysterious. I want to know more about who he really is. The brunette exclaims, defending her own interest in him. The blonde rolls her eyes. Good luck. He doesn't let anyone close. I bite my lower lip, invested in this conversation. Then how will you pursue him? Era rubs her hands through her hair. I've been bumping into his late at night while he's guarding the princess. Sometimes he even lets me stand for a few minutes to talk to him. How have I never heard through the door? Do you think the princess desires him? The brunette asks. I swallow thickly. I should probably tune out of this conversation, but I'm curious what they assume. Has Sage told anyone else about my attempts to seduce him? I'm mortified at the thought. Thankfully she is to be married to Prince Thorn. The brunette cuts in. That's good for us, because her and Sage probably would have slept together by now. You really think so? The blonde gasps. I cover my mouth, trying not to laugh into my hand. I had no idea Meister F thought such things, duh. He's near her all the time, although I secretly bet he hates her. Ara exclaims lowly, in case anyone is lurking nearby that can hear. I'm surprised they haven't even noticed me yet. He doesn't seem like the type to like royalty. The blonde mutters. I raise a brow. Sage definitely hates royalty. He won't admit it, because he's being paid by a king, but his disdain for my father is deep-rooted, and I assume it's because of his position of power. Someone heard a rumor he's working with that group that broke in. Era draws in a sharp breath. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Noble, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. I hope not I angle my head. What if he is? I shake the thought from my head. I watched him be beaten to near death by that group, and he's done everything to protect me from them. There's no chance he's working with them. Right. I know, but it would make sense. Right. No one that good at killing would take a job like this. The brunette grumbles quietly. Maybe we should tell her. The blonde is clearly asking a question, unsure of whether she should intervene in the matter. Little does she know, I've already considered the notion that Sage works for the rebellion. The brunette shakes her head. Shh, don't. Her father punishes anyone who speaks a single word to her. Breathing in deeply, I scoot my chair back enough so I'm in the girl's view. Ara, you should ask Sage out, I exclaim brightly. All three girls jump at the sound of my voice, turning toward me. All the color drains from their faces, clearly concerned their jobs here are now over. Oh, I'm sorry, Miss Sarah. I didn't realize you could hear us. The blonde forces out, looking so stunned I feel sorry for her. I wave her off dismissively. Everyone gossips, so it's not as if I blame them. I focus on Era. If you want to, you should just do it. I mean, he's not so great in bed. Era's eyes widen. You've slept with him. The blonde slaps her friend, trying to hush her. I just laugh lightly, enjoying tarnishing Sage's reputation in their eyes after what he did to me over a week ago. Oh yeah, I smile wickedly. He gives terrible head. Trust me. I know that my claim is not only baseless, but untrue. But it feels so good to say, even if it's likely going to get back to Sage. I thought you were marrying the prince. The brunette wonders. I shrug. But can't a girl have some fun? The girls giggle nervously, glancing between each other. I know they want to say so much more, but are reminded that I'm a princess and my father would have them fired if he knew we were speaking. It's why he's not going to find out. I never thought Sage would be so terrible in bed. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nobel, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. Smothering her smile with her hand. He isn't. I would bet money on it. In the darkest depths of me, I know he would be incredible. It's like he doesn't know what he is doing. May as well do it ourselves. Am I right? I wink at them, turning back to my book. I'm staying well away from him then. I hear Rara say lowly to her friends as they quickly rush away. I grin. This is payback for Sage, but it's also the others don't try to seduce him. He doesn't belong to me, but if he's going to anyone, it's going to be me. Mark my words. Yawning, I draw my curtains closed, turning to my bed. It's been a successful day of mostly reading, writing some correspondence, and spreading rumors about Sage that are entirely unbased as revenge for his nightmare training regime that has been especially vicious this week. A strong knock echoes from the door as I lean up against my pillows. Busy, I call out, smiling a little. Sage opens the door, stalking straight in. No, you're not. Hey, I could have been without clothes. I grumble, narrowing my eyes. He folds his arms over his chest. I can't tell if he's angry. He's impossible to read. I know why he's here, and yet I'm not scared. There's this rumor going around that I heard. Pacing back and forth, slowly, purposefully. I sigh coyly. Is that right? You can't imagine my surprise when I heard that I had slept with the princess. Last time I checked, you and I haven't. His expression is serious, but his eyes convey another story. I chew on my lip to conceal my smile. Interesting. What a strange rumor. Sage shakes his head a little. I'm trying to avert my eyes from his tattered forearms that are visible from his rolled-up sleeves. And those hands tonight, they are bare, no gloves. He's not meant to be guarding me tonight. And even more surprising is that apparently I'm terrible in bed, according to her. Sage continues. I draw in a breath. This is infinitely amusing. Has this hindered his chances with girls in the manor? Was he ever planning on sleeping with anyone, or is he too professional for all of us? I doubt that. He lost the ability to be considered professional when he forbid me from touching myself. You know what? I heard that too. I tapped my chin thoughtfully. Something about giving terrible head. A few maids claim they heard it from you. Zara. Why would that be? He tilts his head, challenging me. I sink deeper into my pillows. Doesn't sound like something I would do. Is Sage going to punish me? Is he going to make me regret this? So far he's been strangely kind about his punishments for me, leaving the manor in the middle of the night to meet my mate. I'm waiting for whatever he has planned to unfold, because I know it's coming. Right now he's looking at me, like I'm prey he's wanting to tear apart in a methodical way. What? My eyelashes flutter a little. Sage steps closer to the bed, making me wonder if sitting in here any longer is a good idea, unless, of course, I don't want my punishment to be sexual in nature. Why would you spread that rumor, Zara? For fun? Because you hate me that much? Or because you want to prove to you how unfounded that rumor really is? I sweep my legs off the bed, getting up. Take a guess. His eyes darken, any sense of anger replaced by something wicked that I want a taste of. He stands before me, looking down at me. Tell me to leave. I don't want him to leave. I'm tired of this leash he keeps on himself, stopping him from doing terrible things to me that I know he wants. Why would I do that? I whisper. I have a job to do, to protect you, he murmurs, frowning a little as his eyes shift to my lips. And yet, all afternoon, I've thought of all the terrible things I would do to you once I came here tonight. A gasp catches in my throat. He's been thinking about me too. Tell me about these terrible things. Please. I'm practically begging at this point. Sage has leaned down to the point he's close to kissing me. He smells so addictive, and every detail of him is so beautiful, so utterly perfect. I want him in my bed right now. I know nothing about this man really, and I want him so badly. I don't want to talk. I want to show you. He breathes. He's wincing, like he's holding himself back physically. Do it. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nilben, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. He exhales slowly, backing me up until my legs hit the bed. He never does things quickly, never rushes. In training he's harsh and slow with what he inflicts on me. I get the feeling I'm about to be subjected to his cruel patience. You're certain you're ready? It's a way out, a chance to say no, to break the spell drawing us together. There's no way I'm messing this up me. Sage grabs my waist so forcefully it nearly knocks the breath from my lungs. But I don't care, as his lips crash down onto mine. My entire world spins off its axis. Sparks. He's my mate. I know what this means, as I jolt back to stare up at him. I know who he is. And yet right now, I couldn't care less. His gaze is burning. That's not going to stop me from what I have planned next. 26 warning. I've been asked by a company I work for to change the name of this story to adapt better to their app. I've only ever done this once or twice and I would prefer not to. But that's okay. I've done my best to make a fitting cover and title anyways. I'll be officially changing the title and cover by chapter 27 to reduce as much confusion as possible. I apologize about this. Thank you for understanding. Word count 2396 error. He's my mate. I know what that means. And yet in this moment, that reality feels miles away. How could I think of anything other than Sage's lips pressed against mine? The way his strong body presses me toward the bed. I want him so badly it hurts. And knowing who he really is, who he is truly aligned with, only makes this more exhilarating. I've been desperate for him for weeks. And finally, he's giving me a piece of himself. With his hands on my hips, he twists me around, pushing me away gently. I stumble back a few steps, watching him sit casually on the bed facing me. My fingers brush against my lips, where his once were. By the raw, burning desire in his eyes, I know he isn't done with me yet. What are you going to do to me? I ask breathlessly. My entire body hums with excitement. It tugs at my patience, leading me to consider whether I should jump on him right now and get to what he and I are both desperate for. I don't want to rush this though. I want to enjoy everything he has planned for. His fingers link in front of him, forearms resting on his thighs as he stares me down. I'm going to punish you. Punish me. A gasp catches in my throat. When he says that, I don't think he means punishment like in training. Pull your pants down and lay over my knee, he instructs calmly. My fingers tremble as I hasten to unbutton my pants. Sage watches with a dark gaze, tracking movements as I draw them off, stepping out of them. Each step toward him feels laden with possibility. Anticipation runs at my skin as I stand before him. He doesn't touch me, he just nods at his lap. Summoning a breath, I lay over it. He adjusts me until I'm exactly where he wants me, and then his hand lands hard on my ass. I yelp, jolting forward, but his arm keeps me in place. Pleasure and pain melt together as the sting subsides. This is her breaking out of this place. To meet with your mate. Well, I'm your mate. Another slap. I don't flinch this time. I push back into his touch as he gently rubs where he hit. It feels good. Too good. The first time you disobeyed me, I wanted to do this. I wanted it to hurt, for you to finally learn your lesson. He mutters, more to himself than me, but I enjoy hearing his silken voice. He spanks me a few more times until the pain is replaced entirely by an all-consuming pleasure. I'm not even angry, I want him to badly. He rests his hand where the pain slowly subsides. My breath is harsh, fighting to control myself as I tremble on his lap. His fingers trail down from my backside to my thighs, and I'm between them. I clutch the bed as he pulls my panties aside before sinking two fingers into me. I gasp out, squeezing my eyes shut as I push back against him. His arm holds me tight, stopping me from moving. I have sat outside that door and spent countless hours convincing myself that I shouldn't come into your room. He breathes. He just holds his fingers inside me, not moving, and no matter how much I squirm, he doesn't indulge me. I spent every minute of those long nights trying not to imagine what you looked like unclothed, what you would look like with me inside you. He gently runs his other hand down the back of my head, threading his fingers through my hair. He is punishing me. No, he's torturing me. I'm tired. I have no fight left in me. Zara, he breathes. Neither do I. I'm tired of running, of fearing everything and everyone. I want to be sure about something, and right now, I'm sure I want him to start moving his fingers. The thought of what I want to do to you has kept me company through those nights. I'm done with imagining, he continues, twisting his fingers ever so slightly. Pleasure shudders through me to the point I'm left to dig my teeth into my lower lip to keep from moaning. I don't want to give him that satisfaction yet. He leans down to whisper in my ear. I know it's wrong to want you this desperately, but I'm done holding back. Right before I'm ready to start begging, he slowly starts to move his fingers. I exhale in one long breath, the feeling of pure euphoria encompassing my body, relieving the pain of anticipation, of having to wait for this for so long. It doesn't take long for my orgasm to build up. It's been months now since I've had one, and now, my body is begging for that wonderful, beautiful release. Sage's grip on me tightens as I push back into his hand, chasing that incoming high. I can't see his face, but I know exactly what look is on that stunning face of his. What was that? You want to come? Yes, please. I grit out, wanting more than the slow, purposeful movement of his fingers as they thrust inside me. He's acting like he has all night to torture me. See, you've been sneaking out, disobeying me. You don't deserve to come. He talks slowly, his hand stopping its movements. I gasp out, frustration digging beneath my skin as the feeling of my release slowly ebbs away. I'm not sure what curses flow past my lips, but they aren't something that would usually come from a princess's mouth. Sage even has the audacity to laugh a little. You can say all you want, pretty girl, but no one is going to help you come but me, so you better beg. I don't want to let him know he's won, that he's gotten control of me, and I'm ready to hand myself over to him completely, but there is nothing more I want than for him to be inside me right now. Please, I'll do anything, I hiss, digging my fingers into his legs as he gently thrusts his fingers in and out of me, knowing it's not going to be enough for me to fall over the edge. Anything, I can hear the smile in his voice. I nod desperately. Drawing his fingers out of me in one swift movement, he pulls me off his lap before pushing me back down onto the bed, replacing where he sat. My mouth dries just looking at him. How can he be so beautiful? He's pure sin, so deliciously tempting I don't want to waste another minute not touching him. Sitting up, I reach for his pants, tugging him closer to me. He lets me, staring down at me wordlessly as I unbutton them. His hand rests on mine before I can reach in to grab him out of his pants. Take your top off for me, I oblige him, not stopping until all my clothes are on the floor. He shrugs his jacket off, and then his shirt, revealing the muscled planes of his chest and abdomen. I note the tattoos, the few scars scattered about. My body trembles as I slide back on the bed, lying down completely. This is going to be hard and fast. Next time, if you behave, I'll make love to you, he tells me roughly, tilting his head. I smother my smile behind my hands, covering my face. I can hear him rid of the rest of his clothing, and when I look back up at him, I nearly faint at the size of him. He looks down at me, eyes burning with cold fire. The dim lamplight casts deep shadows across his menacing face, and for a fleeting second I'm scared. Not because I don't want him to me. I do, desperately. But my aching backside and trembling body from a lack of orgasm is a reminder of what he is capable of doing to me. And now all I'm able to do is take the pleasure and hope I don't implode. You ready? He asks breathlessly. It's my chance to back out, if it's too much. He's merciless in everything he does, but this is a gentle nudge for me to remember I can tell him it's too much at any time. I nod, unable to form coherent words anymore. Pure wickedness. My back arches off the bed, fingers digging into the sheets as I feel the entirety of his impressive length inside me. The overwhelming pleasure is edged with pain, although he doesn't move, allowing me to adjust. You're so beautiful. Tell me you're mine. Tell me you belong to me, he growls in my ear. The bite of his command is accompanied by an especially hard thrust that has my toes curling. I belong to you, I gasp out, feeling him adjust my leg up so he can thrust even deeper. The angle causes my back to arch, a moan catching in my throat. He leans back a little as he laughs softly, the pace never slowing. Yeah, you do. My eyes widen as his fingers wrap around my throat, squeezing tight. I can still breathe, but barely, as he holds my gaze. For a fleeting moment I'm scared, but the pleasure of being at his mercy, the breathlessness feeding into my nearing release, sates that fear quickly. I knew Sage would be like this. He's rough and dangerous, so of course he is like he is. But this is beyond anything I could have hoped for. Kiss me mercilessly, like he owns me, like I mean nothing and everything to him at the same time. Good girl, he breathes. Take it. All I can do is lay still as I hear him get up. For a second I fear he's going to leave the room, done with me. I hear the faucet run from the bathroom, and he promptly returns with a washcloth in his hands. Would you like me to help you, or would you rather do it? He asks softly. I just stare at him blankly for a second. I've only ever slept with Lewis, and he never helped clean me up. Most nights I would wait till he leaves before rushing to clean him off me. Sage went from a ruthless lover to gentle and sweet in a second. I hold my hand out mutely, not sure if I want him to inspect me right now. It's stupid. Considering what he just did to me, how are you feeling? I gently clean myself up, trying not to squirm as he watches me. I'm good. That was. I hope it wasn't too much, he says quickly, concern touching his expression. I shake my head, biting my lip to hide my smile. It was great. And thank you for putting warm water on his cloth. By the way, he smiles a little, relieved. I've spent the past few months wanting Sage to look at me like this. Who he is doesn't matter. Not when he gazes at me like he's deeply in love with me. You need some rest. That was a lot. I nod, crawling back into the bed and under the sheets. I half expect Sage to walk from the room, but I'm surprised as he slides into bed beside me, tugging me against him. The warmth of him envelops me. We can talk about the reality of our mate bond tomorrow. For now, I just want this bliss. 27-word count, 1976 era. I've made a decision. What I'm going to regret, but right now it feels right. He's going to have to admit it. He's going to have to tell me to my face that he aligns with the rebels and that this entire time he has been lying right to my face. I should be angry about this, and yet I'm so numb I don't know what to feel. Sage's stare is unrelenting at training this morning. We don't speak beyond his usual giving of instructions until I'm doing my cooling down stretches. He leans against the wall looking down at me. I shouldn't have done that to you last night, he murmurs slowly. I look up at him through my lashes coyly. Done what? You want to make me say it? He glances toward the gym door, as if someone may materialize to hear it. The problem is, I'm being destructive and selfish. If I confront Sage, he loses his job as he should and I never see him again. The problem is, I want more time with him, to understand what's going on before he decides to be less stubborn and admit what both of us know. I agree, it won't happen again. Now I know his intentions are unsavory. I'm not going to make the mistake of falling into his bed again. Even though I know last night was the best sex I will ever have in my life. My job is to protect you, and I abused my power with you. I apologize. He could put more effort into sounding genuine. Both of us know that were we put into another intimate situation like that, what happened last night would happen again. I stare at him. You don't always have to have the power, you know. Protecting you comes before everything, he exclaims lowly, even a mate bond. He frowns a little, looking down at his hands. That was the last thing I suspected. Me too. I felt my mate was far from being within the castle walls. I thought he was an average citizen who got caught up in the rebellion, not some skilled mercenary. I'm a princess. I can't be with you, I remind him coldly. I don't want to be harsh, but what other choice do I have? For me to bear being around him, there is going to have to be distance between us. I know. Usually he challenges me, but that solemn look in his eyes suggests he knows it's pointless. Trust me, I don't expect anything to come from this. I roll my ankles around, preparing to start. Good, because a relationship needs trust, which we severely lack. Sage frowns a little. Does he not understand what I'm alluding to? Like I said, I understand. He responds carefully. I sigh, wandering over to the weapons rack. He seems apprehensive to tell me to do anything, which is interesting considering usually he would be scolding me for being late, or for allowing my mind to wander. At least he can no longer tell me not to get off anymore, considering he is the main catalyst to all my progress coming to nothing. Although personally I can't bring myself to regret last night, so we go on as normal. I pick at Aga, turning it in my hands. Sage draws in a breath. I turn away from him, unable to bring myself to look into his eyes. It feels as though there is an uncon subject between us that neither of us want to bring up first. Sage isn't just my mate. He's also working for the rebellion, and he's met with me multiple times. We both know that, and yet it's like we cannot acknowledge it. You told me you had a mate, Sage says suddenly. I blink, holding his gaze for a long moment while I scramble for an excuse. I could just accuse him of what we both know now, but I want it to be him who broaches the subject. I made it up, I say slowly, nearly wincing at how incriminating I sound. Why? Frustration, I guess. I didn't think you would be my mate. I genuinely didn't. It never crossed my mind, and although I always felt it would to Sage, I thought it was purely sexual. I mean, could I ever love someone like Sage? Could he love me? So what happens with Thorn? He questions. Something grips my stomach and tightens. I've tried not to think about Thorn and what I'm going to have to do. It's the last thing I want to face, even though I know I have to. I have a duty to my agent extraordinaire, Madeline Nilton. Heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. I remind him, my voice barely above a whisper. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeline Nilton. Heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. I understand. Do you? I quirk a brow, not convinced that he is so willing to concede when he's made plenty of comments about my relationship with Thorn. He steps toward me, grabbing the dagger from my hands. He's back to wearing gloves, so when the leather brushes against my fingers, I find myself yearning for the feeling of his skin on mine again. "Let's go on," he instructs, returning the dagger to the weapon's rack. I don't move, not wanting to drop this conversation just yet. Were I not a princess, would you? There is a lot I don't know, Zara. What has transpired between us is not something I could have predicted. Having a mate that's not a luxury I ever indulged. So now, I don't know what to do, he admits, not meeting my eyes. That's similar to how I feel. I've always known that I could never be with my mate, so until I touched him the first night they broke in, I had always tried not to think about it. Why didn't you ever think about it? My life has been difficult. Most days I just survive. That's not a life I want to bring another person into, he mutters. I shouldn't, but I want to know as much about him as possible. It puts us both in danger, and yet I can't help myself. Why did you take this job? To my agent extraordinaire, Myelin Nilbe, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. Just admit it. Admit you want to tear down exactly what gives me power. Maybe I wanted to meet the infamous princess, he muses, a lightness tinting his eyes, a sense of humor in his tone. To confirm if the rumors are true, I fold my arms over my chest, officially curious. To my agent extraordinaire, Myelin Nilben, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. What rumors? He looks over me with a thoughtful gaze. About the beautiful girl stuck in her castle, protected by her father. I nearly choke on a laugh. To my agent extraordinaire, Myelin Nilben, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. I didn't think people put much thought into who I am and what I'm doing in this manner. I've never really experienced much in life, so I figured no one would ever find me interesting. That's what people think of me. I figured it wasn't true. The moment I met you, I knew you weren't some simpering fool. You will be able to protect yourself, he tells me honestly. I would be flattered if I didn't know what he is doing. You're hiding behind this. Tell me about you. To my agent extraordinaire, Myelin Nilben, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. Who are your parents? Where did you come from? What was it like growing up? His brows draw together as he considers my proposition for information. All of a sudden, his gaze darkens and he becomes tense. I lost my mother when I was young. My father lives on, somewhere far away. You don't keep contact. He's not a good man. Sometimes I see too much of him in me and I get scared. It's easier to stay away, he tells me firmly. I get the feeling he doesn't want to delve into the history of his relationship with his father, which I can't blame him for. I don't exactly like talking about my father much either. What made you become a hired killer? I ask instead. He shifts from foot to foot. It was easy, almost expected when you come from my background. I was always angry, always fighting kids in my village. Once I was old enough, some rich man came to town and gave me more money than I'd ever seen to hunt a small gang down for him that was burning his crops for fun. Is it hard to kill? It's a question I've been curious about since I first met him. I just never have the courage to ask. Or to hear the answer. His eyes look vacant. It was at first, not so much anymore. That's terrifying, I whisper. Even though I know he's a killer now more than ever, I try not to think about it much. As long as I never have to witness it happening, I can ignore it. I'm not someone you want to get to know. And Sarah, he exclaims slowly, he's wrong about that. Regardless of who he is, I want to know every detail I can about him. Then it will be easier for me to move on from him, especially if his past is as dark as he alludes it to be. You're my mate, I remind him, glancing toward the gym door as if someone may be lingering by that could overhear. I can only imagine how quickly the news would spread through the estate and back to my father if a member of the staff was privy to it. Sage smiles a little. What a thought. I rub my arm, nodding. Everything okay? He tilts his head, examining my face with concerned gaze. Every time he softens up like this, it makes me want to divulge my every thought to him. But this isn't something he can comfort me about. Not when I know the truth. I can't get that night out of my head. When they broke and I mumble, watching his expression, careful of any change. It doesn't. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nogan, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. He is terribly good at not giving anything away. It was traumatic. Perhaps you should talk to someone about it, he exclaims. He looks as though he wants me to talk to him about it. I wince a little. I survived because one man had mercy. Why, perhaps something distracted him. He shrugs casually, like he knows nothing. My patience is slowly ebbing away, with the part of me wanting to blurt out an accusation getting strong. Maybe, I find myself saying. His gaze darkens, arms folding over his strong chest. I'll say it again. What happened to you that night will not repeat itself. He says it with such surety because it's him in control of that. He is the one the rebellion sent in to try to kill me, or kidnap me. And they have sent him in again after that, I know. He claps his hands, silencing the conversation for good. Now come on, you have laps to run. Rolling my eyes, I nod, glad for the distraction because there is no getting Sage out of my head. Thank you for tuning in. If you enjoyed this episode of the story, please give it a like, and don't forget to subscribe to get notifications for updates.